bottom, so it's what I've wanted. It's like the two-stroke, but way more power and hits harder, and that's what I've always liked about the two-stroke is how good they hit. So now with the fuel injection, like you can't really complain. And then other than that, you know what I mean? Like Enzo hooked me up. I went onto my Cowboy at the same setting I had on my Yamaha two-stroke, and it was just too soft because this bike's like 25 pounds heavier than what I'm used to riding. So Enzo hooked it up, gave me some good forks, good shock, and made it a lot stiffer. I had to run a pro circuit linkage on the back of my bike too, just to drop the S in just a tiny bit. And it just handles and it just tracks a lot better. And other than that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a good-ass bike. I love it. I got some good stuff on it. It definitely, everyone that rides on my bike is tripping on how much power it has, and they're tripping on how I can ride it. But put on a couple pounds this year over the summer after X Games, so it suits me pretty good. Got a new tattoo. I had another little girl on February 12th, 2010 this year, and I got her name on the side of my head, Savvy Monroe. It's kind of hard to see right now because my hair is growing out, but when she's shaved up all nice, she looks real sweet. She's real nice. And then getting ready to work on some more tattoos. I want to get the other side of my head done. I want to fill in my throat, get all that filled in, and get my legs done. I don't have anything on my legs except for the twitchy balls I put on there, and then my chick did a tattoo, and then my other daughter did a tattoo. So I think I might let my kids and my wife do this whole top of this leg, just for something to do, you know what I mean? Do something different. Why have perfect pieces everywhere when half of my stuff sucks anyway, so I might as well get some good ones from the family. I just hope I get above the first line. I'm gonna keep it mellow, and then I might have to steepen it up. I tried to go a little straighter into it. I tried to go up higher because I want to get high. But you can see my back tire just slid a little bit, so I was counting on too much traction on the wall. My tires are wet going into it. So I just need to angle a little more like how I did second before last.
Is that one of the kind of catches of poaching? You can't really ask to jump?
Nah, so I just gotta jump into it and go for it. Fucking thighs hurt from hitting the handlebars, but I knew I was crashing as soon as I left the lip. All good.
I think part of the problem too is you got that big flat space on the back, on the end of it, so you kind of got to come off the wall and like be ready for the flat line. Instead of like, you can't really do like a transfer turn. You got fluffer actually working.
Oh, look at him.
Don't count on that wood too much.
Oh, I'm not. Probably wash out and eat shit on that next. Probably. And my ad don't want me sitting here like this with me riding over me.
Pretty much, we're here in this undisclosed area. Twitch drove up, had a baby 2 days ago. On a pinch to get this ad in for a timeline. Twitch came through. It was a job for him, obviously, a wall ride. Not many guys, you know, are skilled enough to do that. So Twitch came out here, poached it. It was a flat wall, something he's not used to. Successful, poached. Cops haven't came yet, knock on wood.
Pretty excited. I got decently high on the wall, so I can't be bummed, you know what I mean? You can't really practice it and work up to it, you just gotta go for it. So other than that, pretty pumped, dude.
How much harder do you think it is to jump on a flat wall like that versus a bowed wall that all the wall rides are at, like X Games?
It's way harder to jump on a flat wall, especially a flat wall that's painted and slick with no grip on it.
Wet grip.
If there was grip on it, I was surprised I stayed on the wall that long. I thought I was just gonna bounce on it and bounce off, but I would say this place has successfully been poached, bitches. Catch you on the next poaching session. I'll have something bigger and better.
Hi guys, welcome to Professor's Patch segment. You've probably seen it in the mag with Robbie Madison's old man, but today we're just going to do some basics, some stuff that everyone should and probably doesn't do to their bikes on a regular basis, just to help it get a little bit more life and make the bike run a little bit better. So the first thing we're going to start off with is tightening the chain. Now, the old myth and the wives' tale way of doing it is at the end of the chain slider, 3 fingers under the end, and it should just sit nicely. So you can see this one is done well. Darty, our admin, does keep his bike in good nick. But if it's not, I'm going to show you how to do it. So, a good sized socket, usually about 32mm. Make sure it fits nice and snug because you don't want to strip off the end of your nut. The right size socket will loosen off your axle. Just a touch, so that you can turn it easily with your hand. Then we'll move into the chain adjusters. Alright, so now we're at the adjustment part of the chain. So as you move in, you'll start to see the chain adjustment marks here on the swing arm and the axle block. And what you want to do is when you wind your axle block out, you'll move it along the further in the swing arm. So you want to get it in about the middle. A bit further back is going to lengthen your wheelbase, a bit further short is going to shorten your wheelbase. So somewhere around the middle is obviously the best. If it's getting too far back, it's probably time to look for a new chain. Alright, so once you've got your adjustment right, and you've got it even on both sides of the swing arm with the notches in the exact same space, you want to lock off your chain adjusters. So you want to hold the actual adjustment bolt in place with one, and then wind it off and lock it off with the other spanner at the other end. Get it nice and firm. Now we've done the adjustment, just come back and double check. It's about 3 fingers just behind the chain slider, which this one is. Now we've finished adjusting the chain, we're going to tighten up the back wheel. What you want to do is grab a big screwdriver or a breaker bar or something like that, roll it through the chain. This just pushes the wheel definitely up against the chain adjusters and the stops nice and tight. Finish off by tightening up your axle nut nice and firm. Now we've got the chain adjusted, we want to give it a good lube. This is something you want to do before every ride to keep an eye on it during the day. If it's a dusty day or if it's a muddy day, it's going to need doing multiple times during the day. Something really simple and something you should always carry with you when you're riding. So on the bottom of the chain, roll the wheel nice and slow and just give it a nice gentle even spray. Give it a couple of laps around the sprocket and keep going. Now we've finished lubing. If you come in nice and tight, you'll see a good layer of lube and oil all across the chain all the way around. What we're doing now is another really simple one, just keeping a thin film of grease on our axles. This just helps the wheels roll and make sure they're nice and clean, otherwise they can seize up and really make your bike perform badly. So what we're going to do first, particularly on the front, most modern bikes these days have got upside down forks and they'll have a pinch bolt and an axle bolt. So what you want to do first is crack your axle bolt, just again hand loose, and then undo the pinch bolts. You probably don't need to film. Once we've loosened off the pinch bolts, you just want to give the axle a gentle tap. Usually with the axle nuts too long, it gives a better surface to hit on. Try not to use a hammer. If it's lubed properly, it should just slide out nice and easy like this. If it is seized in there from gunk and stuff, you might want to get a soft mallet. Make sure it's soft, not a metal, and just give the axle a gentle tap to push it through. As you can see, this one has been lubed properly and is sliding out reasonably easy. I'll just pull the axle out like that, put it down on a clean bench, and rest the wheel there. On a stand like this, the wheel sits there quite nicely. Now that we've got the axle out, you just want to give it a good clean off with the rag. Make sure all the gunk and excess grease is off, and you're back to a clean surface. You'll also want to give, just inside your forks, a clean. They gather a fair bit of dirt in there. Make sure it's a nice clean surface for the axle to roll on. A common mistake when putting your grease on the axle is to put too much on. People will just go hell for leather and just load it up. What actually that does is forces it to the end and actually attracts the dust and dirt to stick on the axle when you don't want it to. So when you do put it on, just put a little dab on the end. Use your finger and just spread it out nicely across there. Good, clean, thin layer of grease. So now we've got the axle greased up, we're going to put it back through. Just want to line your wheel back up through the pads. If you've had it all the way out, you may need to wedge the pads open with a flat blade screwdriver. To do that, just get in there and lever them apart nice and gently, just to give you a bit more clearance to get the wheel back through and the disc back in. From there, just line your axle up with the new grease. It should slide through quite easily. Alright, now we've got the axle back through. Just put the axle nut back on by your hands, nice and loose. And you've got to get the wheel nice and straight. One way I like to do it is to spin the front wheel and give the brake a quick stab like that. That pulls everything back in the line nice and even. From there, we just want to do it back up in the reverse order we took it apart. So pinch bolts first, nice and tight without being over tight. Finally, our axle nut. Again, nice and firm without being over tight. Alright guys, next one is cleaning and oiling an air filter. Unfortunately, we don't have a dirty one today because our admin Darty is so pedantic with his bike maintenance. The one he's got in there is clean. But I'll give you a bit of a rundown on how to do it. If it is dirty, when you're pulling it out of the airbox on your bike, make sure you try not to get dirt down into the air boot, so try and stuff a towel in behind, keep it all nice and clean in there. Petrol is probably not the best thing to do it with, although it's pretty common. Try and look for terps or an air filter cleaner, something like that. From there, you want a really good oil to oil it with. Motul stuff is unreal, nice and sticky, and does the job perfect. So now we've got a clean and dry filter. That's one of the big points. Make sure it's nice and dry, leave it out in the sun. We're going to give it a bit of an oil. Now we're getting to the oiling stage, which is quite often the messiest stage. Probably not a good idea to use mum's kitchen sink or laundry sink. Tends to not go down so well. Do it outside, over a bucket. If you're lucky like this, got a wash bay. Good pair of rubber gloves, because this shit is that hard to get off your hands afterwards. Thin layer of air filter oil across the filter. Don't want to go too much. I've seen people dunk them completely in the filter or completely cover them in oil, but you don't really need to do that. You just want to get a good coverage and slowly just keep massaging the oil into the filter so that there's no dry spots showing through. Try to avoid scrunching it if you can. You can pull stitching apart or weaken the filter, so just keep massaging it through like this. Keep going until you've got absolutely no dry spots, and inside and out there's a good coverage of oil. As you can see there, there's still a bit of a dry spot. So again, just a thin little touch of oil and massage it into the filter from there. Alright, now we've got the filter oiled, we've put it back on the cage and just get the grease that we had before and put a thin layer of grease around the area that's going to seal to your airbox. This just stops any dust getting in from where it's pushing up against the edge. Alright, once we've got the filter back in, make sure it's located with your screw-in pin and tighten it up nice and tight. From there, what you want to do is run your finger around the edge of the filter as a last resort. Make sure that it's nice and sealed on the airbox. That way, there's no sneaky little bits of dirt going to get through and ruin your engine. I want to say a big thanks to Jeff and the crew from Full Noise Motorcycles for letting us use their workshop here today. A good clean workshop or a good clean work area really makes a difference when you're trying to do stuff like this. So there you go guys, thanks.